Altírómh a chuirde Gaeilge ag ceardlann seo, ceardlann sean-nós de chuid Féile Nearraigh ar Féile Phobal. Welcome to the sean-nós workshop that was organised by Féile Phobal as part of the Féile Nearraigh Festival. Today I'm going to teach you a song called Máire Nic Ailpín, which is a very old song. It was written by Tomás Ó Conaolán. He was a harp player from Sligo, and they reckon he was born about 1640, so it's pretty old. It's a pretty old song. He was a harp player and a composer and a singer. All the harp players back then, as you know, Ireland had a very long and rich tradition of harping, and they used to sing as well, and that's where sean-nós comes from. Even though like the harping tradition died out basically, but people kept singing the songs. People kind of don't connect the two, but like the harp players sang, and a lot of our songs come from that era, and this is one example. And it was collected by Bunting in 1792 in Belfast at the Belfast Harp Festival. When they gathered all these, they realised around that time that the harping tradition was dying out. So a group in Belfast, they were Belfast businessmen. I think they were called the Belfast Reading Society originally. They organised this festival where they hoped to gather all the harpers from all over Ireland, but only I think 11 turned up, and that's one of the songs they collected. Bunting collected is Máire Nic Ailpín. Bunting didn't have much Gaelic, and he just notated down the music. There was an Irish scholar supposed to be there actually. A reverend, I forget his name, some reverend from Dundalk. He's meant to turn up, but he didn't turn up on the day, so a lot of the songs weren't notated down. The lyrics weren't taken down. But the lyrics were probably taken down at a later stage by somebody who spoke Gaelic, obviously. So anyway, I'll sing this song first till you hear it. It's a love song. Máire Nic Ailpín. It's not very common anymore. It's a lovely air. The air is pretty common. You probably might recognise the air. There's a march and a barn dance with a similar air. So I'll sing this first of all, then we'll go through it line by line. Shimalin kukhre wiyavari sawari me sasawal niler duan satir shaw skar shamran shaw da khonies an svervan lar kalun ketamile lawan nyugasre tukri galna fel askapu amaling hansil shaw skawal dalruon gren swairagan khoin es kyamal ergathi wanyaman shin
Siz bara gaşlı mıgrası narasın ardin pleşir akım atamır tidevan an Máire mrashi warime Bavne lamlavne korad lamgram na kartudan tergelik şaval mara mahragas mahra marhanik Abalam man sealed the last wind, stad will the free averen, Gaeilge the hian and schnarter great. Siete kapu gart larik leven an alle jalbin ver tatnu agus gri ner bal min glegal shemelin sanami
So, Máire Nic Ailpín. There's only 3 verses. That's long enough, I suppose. So I'll just go through the song line by line. I'll say the words first of all, so you can pronounce them maybe properly. So she Molly and Chulchrewi Avari is the uirthi me. So Molly is the same as Máire. It's probably the English for Máire or Máire. We say Máire in Beidh, but Máire everywhere else. So Molly and Chulchrewi. Chulchrewi, that's her curly hair, branchy hair, comes from the word branch. Crew. Chulchrewi. So Molly of the curly hair. Varies the uirthi me. I went nuts because of her. Mari is to go a bit mad. He fell madly in love with her basically, but it probably didn't work out. So so a vari is a uirthi me means literally to go mad and to be kind of sorry because of it. As a saoil níl do sa tír seo, and the likes of her can't be found in this country. Is gur a seamra na seád a chóníos and spéirvan. So this girl, she's making out that she's like a princess. So she lives in a room full of jewels. Seamra na seád is the jewel room or treasure room. This is where this spéirvan lives. Spéirvan is just a name for a beautiful woman. Lear Chalú na Céta Míle. So he's comparing her to Helen here, I suppose, because Helen of Troy, lots of men died because of her. There was a big war, and thousands of men died because of her beauty. And all the Gaelic poets always kind of make reference to this. So he's saying she's similar to Helen who, like all these thousands of men died because of her. She's similar to Helen, basically. Lau a menu agus a réitú crígal na féile. So I'm not sure what you mean. There might be an R left out there, so it might be lau a rinnew to share. Lau a rinnew agus a réitú. So he's basically saying that she's very generous. So her hand would renew is to share. Her hand would share. Crígal na féile means she's the life and soul of the party. Ascapu da maléhe an síl seo. So that probably means she would give away all that she owns. She would give away. She's generous, in other words. Sgowal jalrú on Earraigh and sa Mhaire an chlín. So she's radiant like the sun. Jalrú is the rays. Jalrú on Earraigh, the rays from the sun. So there are rays from the sun coming from this maiden. Máire is maiden. Gan chlín is without blemish. So she's shining like the sun. Is ceá mala gatíú an yemenshi. And there's this kind of magical aura around her everywhere she goes. Ceá mala is literally the honeyed mist. So whatever that is. She's special, and there's this aura around her wherever she goes. So the second verse then is Istishe agus isbrehe ga shille da magrese. So shille means words, vowels. So every word from my love's mouth is nice and Brea is great. So she speaks. Whatever she says is music to his ears. It's na rosing argin pleasure. So everything she says is as sweet as the rose that grows in the garden. Garden pleasure is a pleasure garden. A cum a time or a tea the wine. So cum is your waist, your hips, I suppose. So her hips are like white silk. Sheet is silk. And Máire mra she uirthi me. So Máire again is like maiden. Like maiden, and there's Máire. And Máire mra she uirthi me. So this maiden that caused me grief, because she's so beautiful. She probably out of his league or something. I don't know. I don't know what happened in the end, but usually it's unrequited love. These songs, they're always sad at the end. It doesn't really say what happens in the song, but it probably didn't work out anyway. Ba vinne lum an le venye cora la magra na cartu dente Ghaelach. So ba vinne lum an le. So I look forward to the day when I can have a conversation with my love, and I'd much prefer that than writing Gaelic songs or literally correcting poems in Irish. But correcting carta means probably back then meant composing. So he'd prefer to be sitting talking to her than to be writing Gaelic songs. So he must have thought writing Gaelic songs was great, but talking to her was even better. She bhfuil mar ré she ma chreach agus ma chreach mar a tháinig mé le ghé le bhliain décú I think that's Blian. It's a strange spelling, but it's probably Blian J-Q. So she will me what I'm saying is she me chrahagus my curse and my woe. I think this means it's a pity I met her 12 years ago. I'm not sure because it's kind of old Irish and the spelling is tricky, and I've asked a lot of professors in music and Gaeilge what this means, and nobody can figure out. But Bailing, it's probably Blian, 12 years. So I think what he's saying is it's a pity I'm in love with you this past 12 years. I'd say is the gist of it. So the last verse then is Da malum and seal da Allah as da ween. So if I owned everything in the world, it's the malum and seal da Allah as da ween. If I owned all the cattle in the world and all the wealth of the world, it's that the Hawl da Bhríde a Bhéirin. It's to you I would give this wealth. It's to your like. The Hawl is your the likes of you. I would give all this wealth. Gaeilge a de hia na snearta Earraigh. So he's getting a bit descriptive there. So her bosom is whiter than the snow on the branches. I see the capu a gart lair a cleve as they're gathered up there in the middle of her chest. He's getting a bit raunchy there, but anyway. And alle Yalveen a ver tatnu agus gree. So alle is the swan. Yalveen mean is smooth, so the gal is white. So the smooth white swan that gives pleasure and it's nice to look at. Ball mean Gaeilge. I think ball is her limb. So he's comparing her to a white, beautiful white swan. Shemelense na mim malundu Earraigh. So Shemelense, it's my pity, my woe that I'm not like a blackbird. Well, Lundu is a blackbird, but it's the male blackbird, and the Ceardlann is the female blackbird. So in Irish, you don't just have a blackbird. There's the Lundu is the male, and the Ceardlann is the female blackbird. So he's saying it's a pity I'm not like the blackbird on the branch at a grieve, and her to be the Ceardlann sitting beside me, or it's more graphic. But we'll just say he wants to be the male blackbird beside his darling Ceardlann. It's a bit more descriptive than that, but we'll leave it at that. So that's Máire Nic Ailpín. 3 verses. It's got a strange structure. There's kind of 10 lines in every verse, which is unusual. Usually you get 4 lines in a verse or 8 lines in Gaelic songs, but it's just weird kind of structure and musically as well. But it's a lovely song, lovely air. So I'll sing it again. I'll break it down. I'll just sing it in a simple manner so you can kind of sing along slowly at first so you can pick it up. So Shemal in Huchre we avari sawari me Sawal ni ler du
duan sa tír seo.
Just do that again.
Sí malín húlchare wi a varí sáwarí me sa sáwal ní léir duan sa tír seo.
There's no rhythm in the song. There's no pulse, and most sean-nós songs are like that. Even though when they collected these songs, they forced them into like 3/4 or 4/4, or they forced them into the classical style of writing down music. It's very hard to write sean-nós down. It's next to impossible because there's no rhythm. You can't. There's no bars. There's no, so it's really hard to write down. And that was always a problem, because when people try to write down a song, they forced it into something else, and so then when you're trying to reconstruct what they write down, most people just sing it like da 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 da, but this forced it into a rhythm, and I don't think that's the way it was. Well, sean-nós songs aren't like that. And this song probably wasn't either. So it's kind of free style. There's no rhythm. It's kind of up to yourself what pace you sing it at. Well, there's phrases. You take every phrase, so you sing the phrase, and then you sing the next phrase. It doesn't have to be in a strict rhythm. That's the good thing about sean-nós, because it leaves it free for ornamentation and leaves it free for interpretation. You can interpret it your own way. So that's why a lot of songs are sung in a different style, or in a different way by different people. They have their own take on the song, which is a good thing, I think. So sí malín húlchare wi a varí sáwarí me sa sáwal ní léir duan sa tír seo. Sgad a seamra na seo da hóní san spéirvan lar cailúna céit mílan. Láhan na nniugus ré tú crí geall na féile escapu am a léiche an sail seo. Sgawal dalrú sa waire gan chlain is chomh a thi wanyaman sheen. So second verse, I'll sing it really slow and try and make it easy for you to pick up the melody of it. Ishtis barah gashal da magras naros ngardin pleasure akamata marti the one and my ramarashi wari me vanye lamla venye kora lamagara na kartu dan tergelik shawal marama khiragas makhra marhan ikmelaga
Abalam man sealed alas tawin sad how will the very averin sker gilla the hianan schnarter grief see the capu guard let it live. So you have to say creve there. People might pronounce creve as crave. Depends where you're from in the country, but you have to say creve to. You have to have the e sound to rhyme with moin and all the other e sounds. So creve. So snarte at a grieve as opposed to at a grave. So it's just a little point. So I'll start the third verse again. Amalam man seal da alasta win da the how the very averin gergella the hianan schnarter grave see the capu guard let it live an alle albin ver tatnu agus grey bal min glegal shemelin sanamim malandu grave as a shave foi madagir shan. So you can imagine, like, this guy was a harp player as well, so he probably sang it and played the harp, accompanied himself on the harp with it. Even though people, like nowadays, people sing sean-nós on its own without any instruments. But I think originally they obviously played the harp and sang originally, but because Irish people became poor basically and they couldn't afford harps, like they used to have these massive harps that would probably cost a lot of money. They even reckoned that some of the high strings were made out of gold, and to make a harp costs money. And when the Gaelic society was destroyed, there was no patrons anymore. So these they call them bards, I suppose. There was different type of poets. And the bards were the kind of common poets, but they generally called these people bards in the end, But so when the Gaelic order was destroyed, they still kept singing and playing, like people like ceardlann, and this guy here would have travelled around the country. Tomás Ó Conaolán, he went to Scotland as well. He must have been. He was quite famous because he became a freeman of Edinburgh, Doimnic. So he must have been well liked there. They gave him a what do you call it? Burgess. He became a Burgess there. So he must have been well known. Back then, a lot of harp players would have travelled over to Scotland. It was the same culture anyway, and people like the culture in Scotland. They were composing the same type of songs. So anyway, it's a pretty old song, and I hope you like it, and I hope to. When I go back to Belfast, when this plague is over, I'll hopefully I'll hear people singing it in Belfast. It was collected in Belfast after all. It's a great song, and I hope you enjoy learning it. I'm only learning it myself, to be honest. It's just a song I came across a month ago. It's a epic of a song. It's a great song. So thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoy learning the song. So slán go fáil, over and out from Doimnic Mac Giolla, slán go fáil, you thraidisiúnta maith.